Oh, hey, everybody. Didn't see you come in. This is ABA Inside Track, and I'm your host, Robert Perry Cruz. Just enjoying one of New England's fine apples, picked fresh from the tree. I'm here with my hosts. Thank you. See? I warned everyone I was going to do some light acting. I warned these here my co-hosts.
That was not light acting.
I know, right?
I do everything
do you know
to the max.
the definition of a light acting?
Anyway.
It's me, Diana.
And it's me, Jackie. And I'm not doing any acting.
You guys don't want any apples?
No.
Apples!
I have tea.
I'll put my apple down. I'll eat that later. Yes, so it's here. ABA Inside Track is here. We're enjoying the nice fall weather as October really comes into its own. The leaves are probably changing. They're not quite when we're recording this, but we assume they are.
We don't know.
It's a lot of climate change talk. I don't know how that affects trees.
Leaves are probably changing.
Probably changing.
Possible that Boston's underwater. We don't
snow
know yet.
I remember, here's a fun New England memory. I remember one time we were going through a giant corn maze, and then it freaking snowed on us in the corn maze.
That's awesome. Nice.
But this isn't a podcast about our favorite New England weather-related disasters. This is a podcast about behavior analysis and behavior analytic research. Sorry, everyone. Word is decided to open on the computer.
Weird.
I don't know. It's really strange. I don't want you, Word. Sorry, everyone. Still going. Okay, there we go.
We did it.
I don't know how much bandwidth my
Anyway.
computer has, so I mean, there's a chance it'll run out of memory if I try to open Word and the recording program. Oh, and then you'd miss all these fun facts about behavior analysis and behavior analytic research.
What are we learning about this week, Rob?
Yes, in between our full-length episodes on exciting topics in the field of behavior analysis, we do these previews to give you a heads up as to what it is we're reading. And you're going to want to have this information ahead of time. I think we actually originally mentioned this in one of our summer preview episodes, so you had plenty of time
We did.
to be on top of this, because we are actually going to be doing our annual book club podcasts. So coming out next week and the week after that, because hey, we just did our supervision September, and why don't we just keep doing more of these in a row to kill me in terms of editing? We're going to be doing a book club on the book The Power of Positive Parenting by Glen Latham.
I love this
Dr.
cover.
Glen Latham. Yes, with
The cover is really fantastic.
It is the most 90s ass group of people.
No, it's like late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah, it's like a 92,
90s.
92, 93.
Okay, yeah.
I assume that's Glen Latham in the middle.
Are those all his children?
No, he has 4 children. He only has 4 children.
There's a lot of kids in that
And
picture.
I do not believe he has children that are like 3. I think he mentions his children as adults most of the time in his book. They are all grown up as of the writing of this book.
Okay,
It's a lot of fun
adults
personal.
is probably easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really easy. They don't live there anymore. You don't have to do anything.
You're like, how are you?
You're grown up now. Just do whatever you want.
Yes, but when we were looking at
Man.
what should we do for our book club book, I had this sort of sitting on the shelf. It had been recommended to me by Stephen Wong, who has done a lot of writing on schizophrenia and mental health, and he had recommended that this was actually a really nice resource book, even though it doesn't specifically talk a lot about mental health, actually at all. It talks about a number of other issues. Drug addiction certainly is one of them. It does give parents like a really nice practical set of guidelines to follow in terms of raising their children and being supportive. And it does take a lot from, even though Glen Latham is not exactly he's not a BCBA, he certainly is sort of one of the kind of old school psychologists that really studied behavior analysis. He mentions Murray Sidman's book, Coercion and Its Fallout, which is also an excellent book, a lot in here. So if you ever read that book, you kind of get a sense of what he is kind of going to be railing against in terms of what parents usually do to raise their children, which is be mean. But, you know, we had it.
There's a forward by Sid Bijou.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it is behavior analytic.
Right.
Oh, yes. Everything. And the parenting is discussed in terms of behavior and children's behavior and parent responses, you know, their own behavior. And Jackie had read it and said, oh, I love that book. And
I
said,
do love this book.
we should do it. Let's do it as our book. So again, it's going to be a little different. It's not going to be the same as, say, even the Supervisor's Guidebook series we did last year. It's a little bit more of sort of a textbook for everybody, but we're going to try to come at it from the perspective of the behavior analyst, because almost all of us at some point will work with a family directly. and we'll want to be able to give, general tips. And a lot of time those tips are going to go beyond, I wrote this behavior plan for you. They may be more general about changing the parenting environment. And I certainly love this. I felt like there was so much to take from this book that we could just... I think a lot of times with books, you have so many big pieces and it sounds very complicated and hard. And there was just something about this book that made it feel like there's only like 2 steps to parenting. Wow, I thought there were a million. It's like, no, there's like 2. Just
You
do those
got
2
it.
and you're like 80% of the way there to great parenting.
2-part episode.
Oh, it's yeah. So we're not going to do this like we did Supervisor's Guidebook. We broke it up. We're sort of going to have an episode that's more of a general discussion about some of the bigger topics in the book, and then we'll do some follow up in our second episode, and then sort of talk about more about the dissemination and what that means in terms of practice, and maybe even some anecdotes from our own personal lives.
Ooh.
Can you imagine if we'd done this in our early days, Jackie, when you were not a parent?
I'd be like, that's dumb. I have dogs. That's probably what I would have said. Not the same.
Oh, man.
Similar, but not the same.
Not the same. No.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's
Still
the power of positive
Valuable,
parenting.
right.
Yep. You have 1 week to read the entire book. It's a pretty quick read, but it also is like a 1,000-page textbook. So, probably should have started
1
earlier. You
million
might want to
page.
just pick the chapters that seem the most interesting to you, or maybe listen to the episodes first, then go back and look at the book.
Cool.
It's a good read.
Yeah, it's a good
it is
read.
excellent read. Excellent read. A lot of fun. A lot of good anecdotes. I love a good book with anecdotes.
I do
think
too.
Aubrey Daniels, I always love his books because it's like, here are some facts about supervision, and then here's an entertaining anecdote about a meeting I was in. I'm like, I love that. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's
It
good.
just makes those books move.
Brings you back from the brink. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's too many charts. OBM is
Eyes were
complicated.
So glazed over.
All right. So that is our episode idea. What else we got on the agenda, folks?
Diana, you want to talk about some?
Yeah, sure. So coming up pretty soon, we will be in St. Louis at the Thompson Center for Autism Conference, which is happening the Thursday and Friday of the last full week of October. So it's like the 25th and 6th.
I think
it's the 25th and 6th.
It is.
Yes. So if you are out in that area and you're going to be at the conference, we would obviously love to talk to you. And we are going to be doing a live... We say live. We're going to be filming an episode in front of an audience consisting of
We will be
conference
live.
goers.
If you are there,
We're always
you
live.
will be live.
Right.
Right. But that's kind of exciting. And the topic that we're going to be talking about is transitioning to college for individuals with an ASD, which I think is super interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're going to do that. It's going to be really fun. Registration is not filled yet, so... it hasn't
Well,
been.
as of this
right.
record, we record these a little
As we're
before they
taping
come
these,
out.
yeah.
So
So you
So
would have to check.
yeah, so if you want to look at it, one interesting thing about this conference is it's not all behavior analysts, which is cool.
Mm-hmm.
It's a multidisciplinary conference, so there's people from a lot of fields that work with children with autism and adults with autism, and so that's an interesting facet of this conference that you may not get from other conferences.
And as always, if you see one of us, please come up and say hi.
Yeah.
And if you don't mind being recorded or talking about your own personal experiences at the conference or how it relates to your work as a behavior analyst, I will have a recorder with me. So you will be recorded. I mean, if you would like to be recorded, you will be recorded.
Not like a flute recorder.
No,
No, I will not recorder at them.
no, that would be funny.
I'll
though.
bring my handy recorder to all the conferences.
You pan flute.
My pan flute. Zamfir, master of the ocarina.
Anyway, cool. We're doing that.
Let's do errata.
Let's do some errata.
Let's do it. Errata. It's a section of the show which we originally put for people to send us emails about how wrong we were. And mostly people just send us, interesting emails, nice things. And then we share some of the either posts that people put on the Facebook page or that we put on the Facebook page or on Twitter or our newest form of social media.
Instagram. So we have Instagram. ABA Inside Track. Surprise! There's so many people hashtagging ABA Inside Track that I was like, oh my gosh. And so I liked you all. So thanks for hashtagging us. I didn't even know we were a hashtag, but now we are. Hashtag. But anyway, so I have 2 things I want to talk about today. The first one is an email that we received from a listener in Ireland. And he is a new BCBA, and he was asking about the percentage of online versus in-person CEs that are mandated by the BACB, and if there's something if the BACB has like a specification for that. And the BACB only states that you cannot get all of your CEs online. But they don't tell you how many is applicable. It's just you can't do that. So you cannot get all of your CEs from ABA Inside Track. We do not recommend it. We do not track it, so it's your responsibility,
Yes.
right? So we won't know, like, she got 36.
When we first started,
Right,
I think we put on the website that we thought 10 was a good number. Again, that's going to vary.
Yeah.
Okay, half. I mean, again, that's going to vary depending on where you live. You know, we're very fortunate to live in an area where we have at least 2 conferences in Massachusetts for ABA alone. So if you live somewhere that doesn't have a lot of conferences, or it's a huge financial burden to travel to these conferences, you know, you use us for CEs as much as you would like. However, we recommend about, you know, no more than half. Everyone's going to be different that way, but track yourself, and then please don't do them all with online.
Yeah. So that's just what the BACB recommends, is that you can't do more than all of them online.
You can't do more than all.
You can't do more than all.
You do 31,
yeah,
not 32.
Right.
They didn't give us the specifications, you know. But do know that by state and country by country, some of the licensing boards within each country or each state may have different requirements. So, for instance, in Massachusetts, you can't get more than 50% of your CEs online. 50% have to be in person. So that's a requirement from our licensing board. But I don't know the requirements in Ireland. Sorry. I am emailing someone in Ireland to find them out for you, but right now I don't know. So, yeah.
Cool.
That was a cool thing.
That's a good thing to follow up on. Yeah.
Yeah, and just a reminder, we love you and we love that you're listening to us, but don't listen to us for everything.
You can listen to us all you want.
Yeah.
That's true,
But
but
the
don't
show is
buy
free.
us.
Please
Recommend
listen to
getting
every
CDs from
episode.
multiple sources.
Right, that's
Yeah.
true. You
Yeah.
can listen every week.
We want you to listen to every single episode
Yeah.
we put out. We think they're valuable, and we like to share that information. But again, you don't need to get all your CEs from us, certainly. You don't have to get any CEs from us if you don't want to. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
Right.
It's your call.
Yeah, so I just wanted to point that out. And then we also had some errata. We had a listener email in about our habit reversal episode. And so Rob wanted to talk about this.
I think more generally. So certainly the person who emailed in to talk about the habit reversal felt that there were a couple things that we said that were slightly insensitive, or I don't want to say put words in their mouth. That
I said
that
they were insensitive.
Came out as insensitive. So we wanted to respond to that, not to defend certainly, but to certainly apologize for anything that we said that was perceived as insensitive, that was factually insensitive. I think, you know, to the greater point, we're in a very complicated time in history, just like everyone's in a complicated time in history. You know, this time probably won't end up being that special in the grand scheme of life
special
on Earth. But I think we're at a really special point. A lot of positive things are happening in terms of topics that used to be forbidden to talk about are now much more openly talked about. There are issues that have sort of been bubbling for years and years that are becoming very mainstream, and we can't just pretend that they don't exist. And I think the advent of the internet and the fact that everyone is constantly somehow projecting themselves online means that we are always talking to everybody to some extent. And while it is amazing and just fabulous that we have these opportunities for dialogue, it does open up the point that many of us are engaging in conversations that we never really intended to have. And we didn't know all the terms, or maybe we didn't understand all the different facets of the conversation. And it's important, I think, for all of us to try to understand other people's perspectives. That's not to say that if people are being rude or insensitive, it's okay that people just say whatever they want. It's not okay. And, you know, in our perspective, our goal is we try very hard. You know, we like to joke around a lot on our show, but we really do try to keep it to, it's at least 50 minutes of just pure content. And all of our joking around is about something that is more related to us and ourselves and our own, you know, kind of silly perspective sometimes, rather than ever poking fun of a group or another individual. Doesn't mean that sometimes that hasn't happened, or even inadvertently hasn't happened. And anyone ever has feedback to that respect, please do write into us at abainsidetrack@gmail.com and let us know that, because even though we're in a field that I think is very progressive, that doesn't mean that we have had every conversation with every individual from every perspective ever. And there's a good chance that we're eventually, just as people who talk a lot on recording devices, will screw up and say something that either hurts a feeling or misrepresents a group or just comes off as rude and insulting. It's never our intention to do that. And if you ever feel we do, we would love to hear that so that we can take that information in and become better speakers on a topic that perhaps we were not as aware of as we thought we were. And I feel like we're at a really important part in just dialogue in general, where as long as everyone really tries to take the perspective that other people are hoping to be the best version of themselves and to bring something helpful and useful and supportive to the dialogue, I think we can all be very supportive in helping those individuals realize when maybe they haven't used the proper term. I still remember when person first language was a thing. It still is a thing, but I remember when it was something that was actually specifically taught. Like I was taught that in graduate school. You have to use person first language. And for years, I was in my mid-20s, I would hear people talking about, autistic kids or intellectually impaired kids. And I really wanted to sort of jump down their throats because, I learned that the way you're supposed to do it is person with autism or person with intellectual impairment. And I tried not to because I was very young and I realized it was not going to be taken as something positive to tell people who were many, many years my senior that they were really wrong in the way they talked. But I just tried to use it in my own conversation and use it in my own writing to sort of shape the behavior of those around me. And now almost everyone, I'm shocked when I hear people use person first language because it is just so ubiquitous, at least in special education and certainly in our research. So there are great ways to help people learn to do things in a new, different way. And as long as you have something that you can present anything you like to us respectfully, we always appreciate it. We are more than happy to own up to screw up. So in that case, in habit reversal, thank you for writing in and letting us know that we spoke in a way that was not appropriate, at least in the sense of it presented something that we had certainly no intention of doing. And for that, we really apologize.
Yeah, so thanks for writing in. I think all of us need to work on, in general, everyone work on, being sensitive to maybe groups that we don't necessarily know anything about. So thanks. So thanks for writing in.
And even if we know about the research related to it, that
Right.
doesn't mean that we are experts. We read research related to habit reversal. We did not do in-depth studies as to what do people with habit reversal or have done habit reversal, refer to their challenges. What are the terms they use? We just use the words in the research and what we've seen in talk. So a lot of room for using terms that might not be considered the most up-to-date or current. So,
but we're always working to be the best people that we can be. And so feedback is always helpful, right? Just in like supervision, it's always helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Feedback at your job is helpful. Feedback in life is helpful. So feedback here is helpful too. So thanks. Yeah.
All right. Well, that brings us to the end of the show. I didn't soapbox too much, guys. I apologize.
Yeah.
I do tend to talk a lot.
It's okay.
No, okay. Great. Well, that brings us to the end of our show. Remember, you can find us on social media as ABA Inside Track. Email us at abainsidetrack@gmail.com. And the website is abainsidetrack.com. Oh, if you enjoyed Supervision September and you're thinking, I want to get some Supervision CEs, hopefully they're not 50% or more of your CEs. But if you would like to purchase those through us, we just did our Supervision September episodes. And if you would like to get all 3 of the Supervision CEs you need, we did put all 3 of them into a nice bundle, and we have there's a little discount on them. They take a lot of work, those Supervision ones, because we put them out in a row. Yeah. So, so we do appreciate anyone who listens to those, has feedback to those, and if you think they're good enough to be your source of supervision information for your recertification, well, we are honored. We are honored that you would think that. Thank you so much. We really do try to make those a little something extra for the month. All right, we'll be back next week to talk all about the power of positive parenting, and then we'll be back the week after that to talk even more about the power of positive parenting. But until then, keep responding. Bye.
Bye. See you.